This week we're finishing Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent, otherwise known as Something to Hold On To.
Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine Season 2, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines of any genre. Because that's what we do now.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
Beef.
I don't know.
It's what's for dinner.
I was expecting some kind of like eloquent, start.
I set you up for that one.
It was just a whispered beef.
We have a theme for the last few weeks, readers.
That we do.
I hope you all can relate to this. When we record, we're in like pajamas.
Oh, 100%. I have sweatpants and a freaky tie-dyed t-shirt
on. But there's a particular kind of day you're having when as a woman, you're like, you know what? I don't have the energy to dry my hair.
Yep.
And like, I felt that today. I'm like, it's a claw clip day. And then Katie comes in and her hair is still drying from the shower. And I'm like, there we go. Yeah. But I feel like the icing on this cake is the fact that your tie-dye shirt has batter up pancakes on it with a little dude with a spatula.
Yeah, he's like a creepy baby. So this is not a sponsored podcast, but I'm going to take a quick moment to talk about batter up pancakes from Fresno, California.
I was wondering if this was the place.
This is the place. Okay, so we were on a road trip, me and my partner, and we were driving through Fresno, which if you have any familiarity with Fresno, California, there is absolutely fucking nothing for miles.
It's like farmland, isn't it?
Yeah. We're like, okay, I'm kind of hungry. You're kind of hungry. Like, we should get some food. We find a pancake place. It has like a bunch of really good reviews. And it's like, it's kind of weird, but okay, cool.
In Fresno.
These pancakes, I dream about them. I think about them at least once a week. It was the most extraordinary oh my God. I am like,
you're having an internal crisis
moment
right now. To clarify, gluten-free pancakes.
They are gluten-free and they're fucking delicious. Oh, God. So we have planned trips and gone out of our way and added hours to our trip to just stop in Fresno, California for these fucking pancakes. So we got t-shirts.
Batter up pancakes, everyone.
Yeah, if you're ever in Fresno, which like, God forbid, go to Batter Up Pancakes. Oh, God.
This episode brought to you by...
I wish, man. Oh, my God. Now I'm craving pancakes. It's fine.
Well, on another note, we are going to talk about Selena and Atreus and how they...
Slaying the Vampire Conqueror.
The Vampire Conqueror.
Yeah. So he's understandably a little bit upset after, all said is done. All said is done.
Oh, words. Those were words, Katie.
After everything, and he's like, you're not a very good seer. And she's like, fair, but I saved some of your men from drowning horrifically. And he's like, fair point, but maybe try to seer better next time. And she's like, fair. Cool. Yeah, I can try to do that.
She's like, glad you believe me this time.
I know. Because girl, you almost died. For what?
Yeah, because you wanted better cover, but really was not. For someone who so thought out her entrance into the camp as a seer, this was a royal fuck up.
Yeah. But it's refreshing because she even says, that was maybe not the best idea, which I respect.
Yeah. And now we kind of move into stage 2 of his conquering thing.
Campaign plan.
Moving on to Warlord City-State number 2, which is...
This one's worse.
Oh, yeah.
The city-state is worse.
This entire population, the military, the civilians, are all really under control because everyone is drugged out of their minds.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those drugs that you die if you stop taking.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Withdrawal is so bad that you're like,
your body just shuts down. It's like, no, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. So everyone is zooted out of their mind.
So I appreciated that. It's a very dark setup here, but I wish there was more reality and more harsher realities incorporated into these supposedly dark and vicious fantasy books. How do you control an entire populace?
Mm-hmm.
It's not pretty. And it's not just because people don't want to fight. sometimes you get to do the dark thing.
Because that's kind of like my beef with some of these books that have war as the backdrop, or like a campaign plan, or, you know, some kind of conquering happening that like it's never really darker, you know, like fucked up. And it's like, it's kind of a fucked up, like, got questions. So it was refreshing that this was, while horrific, it was like realistic, and their reactions to things are realistic. And it's like, this is real, like more real, which is funny because it's fantasy, but
yeah, it's more gravity to the level of violence that is incorporated throughout the book.
Yeah.
So Selena she feels particularly about this city-state because I think this is the village. Her village was in this province that was taken over by this evil warlord, who I was kind of picturing like desert set up.
I was too.
Sand castle fortress type thing.
Yeah.
And then the king warlord figure has like concubines and like a whole harem. And so she convinces Atreus to let her be an assassin, which I love that part in the book where she's like, man, like, you don't need to send your entire army in here. Like, you look at me. This is what I do for a living. Just let me kill him.
This is kind of like my job.
I'll do it for free for you.
I liked it too because you could tell that she had a visceral response to all of the people that died in the first thing. And she's like, if we can somehow find a way to avoid that, how about I just go in, maybe like you come in and help me. We take out the head, or like cut off the head of the snake, I think is what they say. And then it's like, they're just drug addicted, so it's like
pretty easy to take care of everyone else. Yeah. Well, and the way they describe this warlord is he's a very charismatic figure, and so he's able to convince people, these drugged up people, to follow him because he's got some sort of like
swagger, suave.
Yeah, dynamic power, which, you know, we've seen people like that in current politics.
Because I also appreciate that he's very strict about not partaking in the drug himself. So it's one of those like power plays that's actually
it's smart.
Work. Yeah.
Makes sense. Atreus is reluctant to let Selena go in by herself, but she's like,
why? I mean, the first time it went so well.
But so she eventually convinces him, and so she dons this like veiled concubine costume, and she approaches the guards at the city-state. She's like, I have been summoned by his lordship, the father, or whatever. Like, there's a weird name for him. And they let her through, and so she gets into the castle. Atreus like climbed a wall and was just hanging on the wall for hours. I just pictured him like, all right, I'm here. And then
because like, how did no one see him?
I don't know. He's horned.
I know. Horned. It fits with the like bull cow.
We didn't,
theme.
We didn't mention that in the beginning. The fact that he's got two gigantic like ram horns on top of his head.
We should probably talk about that. Yeah. So that's like a manifestation of his curse because he is fucked up on the inside. There's some kind of like twisted thread something. Because is it after this that she helps heal him kind of?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we'll kind of get into it more, but he's like for sure cursed and he has horns.
Something about the horns that was kind of hot.
Thank you.
Weird. Like, even on the cover, like the cover's cheesy, but I'm like, I can get down with the horns though. Just something to hold on to. Sorry.
You know those laughs where you like can't breathe? Like, I am almost dead.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So he has horns.
He has horns. They are making their way through the castle, defeating guards left and right. They make it to like the bedchamber of the Conqueror, which is protected by another batch of guards, which they dispatch immediately.
Yep.
And
except one of them, she's like, "Oh no, I know you."
He's like, "Baby,"
and she's like, ah! It's her brother,
Nero, some sort of Romanesque name.
Yeah, because that's what was kind of confusing. Is like this doesn't feel Roman at all, but that's like
straight up
percent. Yeah, that is a name of an emperor.
Emperor
right?
Nero, who is evil.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering the right.
I remember some things sometimes.
all of my history facts come from reading fiction, so maybe not.
I love it. So her brother's there. He's zooted out of his mind, and she's like, "Let's not murder this one." And Atreus is like, "That's kind of a weird thing to say when we just killed a bunch of people, but like, okay, I guess, because I feel the weird tension in the room right now.
And I kind of like you.
Yeah. Because I will say, at first, I didn't realize that that was her brother. I thought that was like a love interest or something. And I'm like, girl, like that is the wrong guy. Like there's a fucking hot ass vampire right there. Like what the fuck? But thankfully, brother.
Yeah.
Blood relative.
And
She also thought he was dead.
yeah. And he thought she was dead. So they have like this reunion in the middle of a very gory battle.
It's the like Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other like, you're dead. It's like, not yet.
But like they eventually like they kill the warlord. It's kind of anticlimactic.
A little bit.
All of the deaths of the warlords, states, they all fall very easily. They're just kind of like mile markers in the plot.
Honestly.
You need more interaction between the two leads.
Yeah. I think that's why at that like 60-65% mark, like after the like, heh, I was like, so why continue this plot? Because I know they're gonna survive and be fine and conquer everybody. Like,
and this is not the last battle, which is why it's kind of
exhausting a little bit. But yeah. So they win.
And like, so her brother starts, like, they save her brother. They start treating him. He goes through withdrawal symptoms. Atreus is like, well, we're getting rid of all the drugs because drugs are bad.
Yeah. He's for sure pulling a war on drugs.
But here's a little something I saved for you and your brother to like help him through his withdrawals. And so,
because I kind of liked this because like up to this point, you don't really like know a lot about him, like Atreus. Like, you know that he's not horrible, and all of the people around him talk about him like, I would die for this man. And you're like, okay, like,
but
what's
why?
he got going on? And so like this moment was like
horns. That's what he's got going on.
Preach. But like at this moment, you get a little bit more into him as a person of like, well, vampire, but that he has like empathy, but it's very measured empathy, because it's interesting because they have a discussion where he like comes into the room where Nero's laying down and she's like watching over him and she's like, I'm sorry, like we can't go yet. Like I can't just leave him. And Atreus is like, I understand that, but like he's been so addicted to drugs that I don't know that he's going to be able to like
function,
get clean.
Ever.
Like, yeah, like he's kind of like brain dead at this point. Like, what are we gonna do? Just continue pumping him full of drugs? And like, what kind of life of that is that? But he's like very like gentle, but like pragmatic about it. And it was a very respectful, like, I appreciated that's how they took this scene and like addressed it. Because I feel like there's ways that you could just like bottle past it, or he could be like extreme in his response or whatever. But it was this very like measured, mature, like it was just another moment that codified like he's actually 200 or like 400 years old. Because sometimes they have these fey vampire characters and you're like, you're still acting like a 18-year-old fuckboy.
Yep. It's interesting because that aligns with how her initial first impression of him. She describes his voice, because she doesn't see him right away, as being very controlled and soft and like not a growling rumble that you always get with these like dark vampire lords. But like that tracks with his like, I'm an empathetic vampire and like I care about my people. And so it's hard to make sure your brain is picturing him the right way, because you get vampire conqueror, like swords swinging left and right, but he's also supposed to be very measured and very like, I'm old, I've been through some shit. Like I'm not going to react like emotionally to these instances.
Yeah. That's why it was so refreshing. And I think that's what made this book so good, was that you don't get that very often. And the whole time I was like, this is a man who has seen some shit. Like he's emotionally mature, older, has reasonable responses to things, doesn't like fly off the handle. Like it was cool.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it was a weird contrast between like the tropey character design, which maybe she did this on purpose. She's like, I'm going to like
turn it on its head, or
like I'm gonna create this like on the surface very shallow tropey character, but like give him depth and emotional maturity. You're welcome, readers.
Because that's kind of, I think, where the similarity comes from with The Undying King by Grace Draven. Is it's tropey, but it's like is it tropey? It's like, well, geez, like they're mature and like having actual conversations about their feelings. Like what?
It completely mirrors like the whole book. Like the title and the cover are like
Cringe.
but yet like the content is very thoughtful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Whew. Yeah.
Well, this is the point in the story where we see their relationship kind of develop more and they start to trust each other more. So we know Atreus is cursed. And after they take over the second city-state, they're kind of like establishing headquarters there, basically. He summons Selena to be like, hey, I have a little bit of pain in my chest. I know you do some weird thread shit, and I know that your people, the cult, can heal things. Can you take a look at my body and help me out? She crawls into his lap.
I loved this scene. I'm sorry. Please continue.
And she's like feeling up his chest.
Yep.
And like recognizes that, oh, like there's this swirl of like black, dark threads. And so what
I just love because I think she says like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's like a guy who has a bullet wound. He's like, oh, I put a Band-Aid on it. It should be fine.
My guy, like you were on the verge of death.
So she's sitting in his lap and it's not very sexual. It's meant to, she's like, okay, I suck at healing is what she tells him, but like, I know I can try to do something. So she starts like, I pictured untangling fine jewelry, like chains,
where it like makes you want to fucking murder someone, but it's kind of satisfying in a weird way.
And it's exhausting for her. So she does it until basically she is exhausted and falls asleep in his arms. And they fall asleep together. And she does it kind of one-off instances until they create like a rhythm. And then she's going to his room unsummoned every night to be like, all right, I'm going to sit in your lap and I'll make you feel better. Is that okay?
I'm here to help. I loved this as a trope 100% because it's loaded terminology, loaded trope, but it's so subtle that you're like, I am eating this up. Because normally they immediately rush into like overly sexualized.
They haven't kissed yet?
No.
Yeah.
They're just like, I have a wary respect for you. Like, I like what you got going on. Like, I kind of trust you. It's a healthy emotional relationship.
Good development. And he starts to reveal more about his background and why they're on the land. Like he explains to her, hey, you know, all of my soldiers have families. Like I brought all of my people with me. Yeah. And so there's like a little island off the coast of the main continent where all the families are living. And he's got like a sister army run by like a very trusted cousin.
Cousin. Yeah.
That's like supposed to meet him. So I forget though the impetus for them going back to the island.
So I think that the next phase of their plan, like they've lost kind of a lot of people at this point in the whole, you know, ocean tide debacle. And the next place they're going to is bigger and harder to take over. And so he's like, the next phase of my plan is that my cousin will bring extra forces. And then she like is late and he's like, this is not good.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're like, okay, I'm getting some like kind of sketchy vibes from this. Like, let's go check because that's everyone's family and children and they're just civilians. And the island is protected by a bunch of mist. And they're like, it should be fine. But also like, where are all the boats?
This scene
horrific
lives in my brain. Oh my God. If you don't feel something in this moment, there's something wrong with you.
And the way it's described too is because it starts off
you know something's wrong. Like you know you're walking into a cave of zombies.
Yeah. Like everything is too quiet. Yeah. And they like come off the boats and Selena is immediately like, so I can't see, but like where are all the people?
Where are all the threads? Because she's supposed to be able to sense like life forms and she senses nothing. And
except this like low hum of something other.
Yeah. So they're walking through the woods, through this mist, and she feels a drop of something on her face. And then she looks up and she sees the bodies of women and children still alive, staked in the air.
And that's what the like low level
hum was because they're still alive, barely, and the blood is dripping from above on Atreus and her, and then she immediately senses, oh fuck us, the king's men are here. And so she senses like somebody moving towards Atreus, and so she like whips around him and takes like a sword to the gut. She's immediately stabbed.
And then chaos ensues.
Yeah. So like if you don't feel the oppressing, violent, I don't know, insert darkness of this scene when they're walking through the forest, like, well done, Carissa Broadbent. Like, this woman knows how to write
suspense
and like depravity, but like in a respectful manner. To like grant depth.
Yeah. Cause there are books where they write about a bunch of like crazy fucked up stuff, but the way it's written is like, okay, like, cool, sure.
Like the Viking fucking story where she attacks the whole city and kills a bunch of people, but like you don't feel anything.
Yeah, you're like, okay, like continue killing people, I guess. But this was like, you feel it. You're like, this is horrific, and you feel bad afterwards. That like kind of sense of like, what is the point now? And because she has this like guard buddy protector who's been like assigned to make sure she doesn't, get vampire bitten by other people, et cetera, et cetera. His whole family was on the island, and like he had a young daughter,
10-year-old daughter,
and like the way they describe his like visceral, just like lifeless like scream when he sees, yeah.
I don't know why this is coming to my brain, but the movie Gladiator.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. When he like sees his kids for his kid and his wife, and
yeah. So if you've ever seen that movie, that's the vibe here.
Yep. Because it's like, okay, well, like, what's the point now?
And so Russell Crowe's character, what's his name?
Maximus.
Yeah. That's Atreus and his response to this. Like, they destroy every single soldier that the king sent to that island at great cost to their army.
Yeah.
I don't know where else to go from here.
Because that's kind of like where he feels too. Because at this point, you realize why he's come to conquer this island, or this like her country, is they were kicked out for some reason by something, and the goddess was Nyaxia or whatever is like, in order to
come like return to Obatreus, bring me like a land,
like a new kingdom. And so he's like, well, I can't stay here, I have to go, so I have to bring all of my people, their family, their children, to find a new spot. But like, what's the fucking point now if like they were all brutally murdered? It's so sad. But thankfully, Selena doesn't like fully die. Like, she was on the brink.
Yeah, they heal her enough that she can then heal whatever vampires are left.
Yeah, because she does like go around and help all of the healers or whatever, but their numbers are like
dwindled.
Decimated.
This is kind of a good like breaking point in the story. I feel like after this scene is kind of where it starts to like drag off a little bit, because now they're like, okay, well, we're gonna head to the final battle with the king. Atreus is very like resolved to be like, well, I'm not losing anything anymore, I got nothing to gain, like I'm gonna go kill this bitch. And so they start to make their plans to move on the final stronghold of the king of all the warlords. Somewhere in here is 65%.
Yeah, it is very like aggressive
and protracted, because I was skimming it and
there was several pages.
Yeah, I definitely, and I don't remember how it kind of develops.
I don't really know either. Like, I think she like comes out to help him, or vice versa. They're upset, and it happens.
Mutual misery, and they comfort each other, and then it devolves into
it's just very brutal, maybe. Like, not brutal in a bad way, but like it's a very like aggressive coupling. That's the best way I can.
Aggressive coupling.
I can't describe it in a different way, but it's like protracted and very like there's a lot of emotions going on.
It's also like we finally are together. We trust each other. We're in it for the long haul. And she decides at this point in the story, she's like, all right, well, I'm with him. Like, whatever happens with the Rakisin, fuck that name.
The cult.
Whatever happens with the cult and the Sight Mother, like, I'll own it. But like, I am not betraying and killing this man.
And I liked that her understanding of this is kind of reasonable. Like, she's like, I know that he is not going to forgive me. Like, he's a king. He can't. Like, I have betrayed him, basically. So she's kind of like come to terms with her death, but in a very like reasonable way. Because I feel like sometimes heroines are like, oh, but like maybe he'll still love me. But she's like 100% like,
she's convinced. Well, I didn't
like he can't.
I didn't think that this was the most rational.
Oh yeah, like, absolutely not. But
yeah, because she talks through like, oh well, I could tell him that I was sent here to kill him, but I'm not going to kill him anymore. I feel like he's reasonable enough.
Yeah,
like she lied about the first prophecy. Like he's not going to be that surprised.
He's like, what? You're a bad guy?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
But yeah, so they're together. They start their convoy on to the next. Fortress through the mountains.
Basically involves going through some sketchy, like, winding path mountains.
And there's some weird random monsters that show up.
Yeah, like snake dinosaur birds.
I pictured basilisks.
Yeah, but with wings.
Yeah. And they're like super powered and like almost destroy them. So it's like another battle just to be like, let's add some more pages to the story. I didn't think that was necessary.
No. Not at all.
And then they get to the main fortress after some more battles and deaths. And
there's nobody there.
No one.
And then they get ambushed and a bunch of people die. But Atreus and Selena are like, we can end this if we kill him.
They go to the throne room. They see the king on the throne.
And he's like kind of like
a corpse.
Gross.
Yeah, like a living corpse is how he's described. And then,
I imagine this is going to be so bad for anyone that is from the UK. Those pictures of like Philip towards the end of his life.
Oh
no, that's what I imagined. Like specifically that one picture of him in the car. Where it's like his face. Have you seen that one?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to show you.
While you're looking that up, I pictured the king.
This one.
Oh my god!
Just do yourself a favor. It came up when I typed in UK Philip in the car picture. This is exactly what I pictured was on the throne.
Strangely like what I was picturing.
Okay, good.
So, Lord of the Rings, I think it's the Two Towers, the King of Rohan. Who's like being controlled by his like proxy vassal.
Oh yeah. That's just like the funny version of Philip. Yeah, 100%. So he's not doing hot.
No, not great at all. And then like out of the shadows steps the Sight Mother.
How did you understand that whole plot?
I did not understand this at all. Somehow the cult, specifically the Sight Mother, has been controlling what's happening on the continent via this proxy king.
Yeah. But like she's also been trying to like help people, but like not really. Like I missed something apparently.
I felt like it was what was probably on the author's head is very complex.
Yeah.
And it didn't convey right. So if I were to take a stab at it, the reason why they ordered Selena to murder the vampire conqueror is because secretly they've been in control of all of the warlords the entire time. And they're okay with all the people suffering. They just measure it. So
that makes sense,
I guess. So Sight Mother steps out and Selena's like, oh, fuck me.
This is not good. This looks not great.
So she thinks very quickly and like throws herself in front of Atreus and she's like, Sight Mother, I'm here.
Mom.
Basically. Yeah. So I know I didn't kill him yet, but I was planning to.
Atreus is like, what?
Like, we were together, right?
I'm kind of confused.
And she's like, just kidding. So Sight Mother, I was thinking that like he is God touched, like he's got this whole curse thing going on, and so he would be a really good sacrifice to the Weaver. So
Atreus is like, what?
I've been saving him for you. I still have the dagger, by the way. Like it's Selena like thinking very quickly on her feet, and like in the background you see Atreus being like, "This fucking bitch."
Like, what is happening?
So confession time. I love this trope.
Okay, how did you?
Like, if any time when like the female lead seemingly is betraying the male lead, but is doing it for his own good, and he hates her like with a passion, and she's like, and so she's feeling the hate, but she's doing it anyway.
Yep.
Oh my God, I would read this in every book ever.
Because I think it's a good version of the miscommunication trope. Because it's always that third act miscommunication, they break up, get back together, etc. But this is like I'm doing this for your own good, and you're gonna hate me, and I'm still gonna love you. And I'm like,
it's a dose of martyrdom on the heroine, and you're like, oh, I could get down with that. Like, suffer.
What is that quote from Harry Potter? The like, you're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it. That's this trope.
Yes. I'm a big fan of it. And so
100%.
I just wish it were more. I wish it was longer. I wish they had shown her betraying Atreus and him like simmering in rage.
Yeah. Because again, that's the whole emotional maturity of Atreus at this point is you can kind of tell he's like, there's got to be more to this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little sus of you, but like,
this is weird.
I don't really kind of understand what's going on.
So this is stepping out of this book into another book that will forever live in my heart. And I know you started reading it.
Oh.
Mara, Daughter of the Nile.
Oh, yeah.
Did you finish it?
I got like 4 pages in.
That's fair. But this same thing happens. Same exact trope happens at the very end of this book where she seemingly betrays him. He realizes too late that her betrayal is her protecting him, and he rushes back to save her, and she's like being beat to death in front of him. I love it. I don't know what that says about.
That's what I was just thinking is like, you're this like tiny, gentle blonde woman. And you're like, and she was being beaten to death and I love it.
But like he saves her and it's like, it's the resolution of like going from hatred and betrayal to like understanding the full complexity of the scenario and like, oh, my love for you is even greater because you suffered for me.
A perfectly rare steak. Jordan just fell apart.
I melted out of my chair. You were sitting on that one.
A little bit,
yeah. I could see it.
I had to wait for the perfect time.
Perfection.
Back
to Atreus and Selena.
This last bit kind of goes off the fucking rails.
It really does. They prepare for the grand sacrifice. Sight Mother's like, well, you're a little sus, but like you're my daughter, so like, okay, fine. Like you've always been a little rebel.
She gets absolutely zooted. Like wasted, drinking some kind of mushroom concoction. And she's like, I am not on this plane of existence. But it's intentional so that they can summon the Weavers so that they can make the sacrifice of a vampire prince handsome man.
Yeah, they're summoning all the gods.
Yeah.
And so all the gods appear and they're on this like other plane of existence. And Sight Mother turns to Selena and is like, all right, it's time to use your magical knife. Selena is like, yes, Mom. So she like trots.
Gonna use it on something.
Trots over to Atreus, and I just pictured Atreus looming like horns.
Isn't he like naked or something?
Yeah, he's like half naked, muscles rippling, and she makes eye contact with him, takes out the knife, and like very quickly like slices through the bindings.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Do it now."
And he's like, What?
But
okay.
he listens, takes a knife, and like immediately kills the site mother. Like slits her throat.
Yep.
There was no hesitation.
No.
She's dead.
I did appreciate that there wasn't like the site mother being like, "You betrayed me."
No.
Like they
She's
just
dead
got
too
down to
quickly.
business.
Yeah.
I know. I appreciated that.
And then we kind of go off into this weird extra conversation between Nyaxia the goddess and like her cousin the goddess the weaver.
Yeah.
And it was very much like older sister, younger sister vibe. And they're like bickering over, well, you just killed my acolyte. And what are you going to do to make it up to me? And they're just like
griping.
Squabbling over like the brutal death of this old woman.
I like that is Selena's impression too, because she literally says like Nyaxia is like a goddess, but she's like kind of petty.
Yeah. And Nyaxia turns to Atreus and she's like, all right, good job, bud. And then she like lifts the curse and that's it.
Yep. But he still has his horns.
Yeah. I mean, thank you.
Thank you for the horns.
Yeah.
And then the Weaver, I never really understood this one, but she was like, it happens, and then just disappears.
Yeah, she's like, well, because Selena offers herself up as a sacrifice in place of the.
Oh yeah, and she's like, well, I don't really need
You're
you
kind
dead.
of useless.
I
Like,
know.
What are you gonna do for me, Dad? Like, just.
It's the most like dismissive. Like, I guess you can kill yourself.
But like that's such a godlike reaction to be like, oh, come on, little human. Like, really? Like, I don't need another death.
It's like, do you have anything like interesting?
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a Fade to Black scene almost.
Yeah.
Selena wakes up like seemingly days later and she's in a bed and Atreus is like in the room with his feet kicked up on a table. Like, hey,
what's
how you
up?
doing?
No, I think we have some things we need to discuss.
But Selena weirdly thinks that Atreus is gonna kill her.
Yeah, it's
still.
like, girl, like come on.
Clearly you proved your loyalty.
Yeah. Also, this man is whips for you.
Yeah. And they agree that they both love each other and they're gonna do what's best for both continents, and that's your ending.
Yep. That's it.
We're fuzzy on the ending. There's a lot that's going on, but that's what we mean, like between meandering and stay up late to finish it. Like we feel a little conflicted about this story, but there's a lot of good points to it.
Oh, 100%. Like the first full like 3/4 of the book is like really good, and then the last is just kind of like wrapped up, and you're like, okay.
I will say the relationship between Atreus and Selena feels a little lackluster. Like it's kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah,
like the story didn't necessarily need it.
I agree with that, though. It was nice because you could tell that they have this kind of like begrudging respect for each other, but it's actually they act on it, because people always like say like, oh yeah, they like respected each other and like he totally believed in her power, but like they actually prove it in their actions, and they're like, I trust you, you go be a concubine and get into like. Yeah. He just 100% was like, yeah, you can do it. Like, you're fucking psycho crazy superpower bitch. Like, go do it.
He never undermines her power.
Yeah.
Like, he believes that she is capable because she fucking is.
So they have this kind of like respect, like, because they have, what is that phrase that they say between each other where he's like, how many are there? And she's like, a lot. And he's like, too many, and she's like, never. And they have this phrase every time they go do some crazy ape shit killing people thing. It's like we're two psychos together, huh?
It's cute.
Yeah. But there's that, and it almost feels like they're like job respect for each other, but there's not so much like romantic.
Yeah, the romantic tension is kind of
Yeah.
It's not a lot there. I mean, it's fine. Like it's enough to carry you through.
Yeah.
I tried to read her first book. God, Daughter of No Worlds.
Oh,
I tried.
I know.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was a similar lack of like romantic tension.
Which is interesting too, because she kind of figured it out for the Serpents and the Wings of Night one. But even that one, I will say that the like tension was, or like the romantic was like,
just not.
Like there was good parts, but there's also kind of like,
Yeah. So if you want the same vibes, but like more and better romantic tension, I think Grace Draven does the same thing, just more on the romance.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I read it, but Six Scorched Roses is set in the same world, but it's a novella.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't read anything by her and you're intrigued by this world, but like this is like a 400 page.
Yeah, it's pretty hefty.
Yeah, so it might be a slog if you've never done anything. So start with that one. It's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Oh.
It's very easy. It's very quick, and it will introduce you to the world without like the commitment problems that come with these monster books.
Yeah, because her other series is 2 books and they're both like 460 or something.
Yeah, and I feel like the heroine is harder to like
100%
in that one as
I was
well.
kind of about her.
Yeah, but yeah,
it was one of those like I read that, I'm like, that was good.
Not mad about it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth way more than some of the other books we've spent a lot of time on.
Exactly. Because it's one of those, like, I didn't lose anything from reading this. Like,
and there were some really good points. Like, enough so that I'm going to, like, watch for her books as they come out.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a good, like, okay, she's validated as an author. Like, I'll probably pick up anything you write. Cool.
100%.
Yeah.
So, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent from our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.